It is very, 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 very natural to be attached as a character to your story. It is inevitable, it is logical, it is just what happens once you are someone. If you are someone, you are attached to something. And it could be the attachment to the character itself, or it could be the attachments in the story. Same thing. It is an attachment. The state of enlightenment is the state of limitless being of the thing itself, of all nothingness, of something that is not attached to anything, because there is nothing to be attached to, and there is just pure being. But as long as the character identifies itself as a character, as a separate form, as long as the truth is unknown to the character, attachments are very, very natural. So there is no point in fighting the mere idea of attachments, of not accepting the fact that you are attached. Because you have to be attached in order to be involved in the story, for you to care. So there are two different kinds of attachments. The attachments within the story of the character, and the attachment of the character itself to itself. The attachments in the story are very important. They create like an atmosphere for the character to be able to express itself and experience. If you are attached to something, you care about it, and you will make an effort just to deal with what you are attached to. If it is a bad attachment, you have to fight it, and if you strive to get to a certain attachment with something, with someone. So there is a constant game of attachments. What are you attached to in the story? Who are you attached to? Are you like dependent on their approval or their way of thinking without thinking yourself, because you are attached to them? So attachments has great importance in the character's life. It like shapes the life of the character. It makes the character care. It makes the character act. The only problem is that sometimes the attachments are not healthy, and they prevent the character from behaving in the way that is natural for it. Sometimes, most of the times, people build a psychological structure ever since infancy. Let's imagine there is a timeline, and you were a baby and you grew up and now you are a person. So in this timeline of a story, you designed the character, and then you created all sorts of attachments to things, and then you believe that these attachments are the way to organize everything, so you will get the most out of reality and control reality around you as much as you can. So if it's a person you're attached to, sometimes you are dependent on their behavior, their opinions, their personality, because you are attached to them in some kind of way. It can be an emotional attachment, or it could be a physical attachment, like you are dependent on them for your own well-being, or maybe you are married and you have a mutual attachment. But the thing is that unhealthy attachments in the story prevent the character from evolving because of the attachments. So sometimes the attachment becomes the thing itself. You forget why did you attach yourself to something, to someone, and the only thing that is left is like a habit. It's like an addiction. So attachments are like addictions. You are so used to it, it becomes part of you. You have to have it, and you think you depend on it. You have to have it. And this addiction is no longer for the thing itself, like every addiction. If you started out some kind of an addiction by enjoying the thing itself, addiction to cigarettes, you enjoyed the cigarette. So after just smoking away, you forget the taste of the cigarette. You forget the first time why you liked this thing, and the only thing that remains is the habit. It's the addiction. So same goes with attachments. You form an attachment because you have a need, a certain need in a certain time. You need something in a certain time, so you create an attachment to the thing itself that you need. And in that time you need that. You need this thing. But as time goes by, the attachment, the need for the attachment sometimes passes, and you remain with the habit, with what you created, and now you think you must have. But the thing is, reality and life are constantly changing. The story is always evolving. So getting stuck on the previous attachments is not making room for new attachments. Attachments should be instant, spontaneous. You should attach yourself to something for the story, express it, and then let it go. Let it come back to the place that it came from. It came from this oneness, to itself, to create something, to express something. And it wasn't meant to stay as a habit. Once you turn your attachments into addictions, often, like in an addiction, they become unhealthy and exaggerated, and you become so dependent on this attachment. Everything in your life is affected by this attachment. So you feel your emotions are vulnerable because you have to fulfill this attachment, or else. But it's only a memory of the time you really formed the attachment, of the time you needed this attachment, because it's so natural and logical for a character in a story to be attached to something. But just like in life, sometimes you attach yourself to a person. You have a friend, and you have a good time together. You have something in common, and life takes you to a different direction, and suddenly this person is no longer suited for your personality, and you're not compatible. You have nothing in common. Suddenly it changes. So hanging on to this attachment, which no longer lives, it's a dead attachment. It can only create troubles for you, for the friend, and of course it will not create anything positive or new, or it wouldn't flow. Nothing will happen, because this is something dead. You have to see inside your life, your attachments. When did you form this kind of attachment to this thing, to this person? What were the circumstances? Why was this attachment created? What is it like now? What is happening now? It can be a family attachment, like your mother. Sometimes, of course, you will be attached to your mother in the story. She's your mother. Sometimes mothers can, be unhealthy for the character. Sometimes they don't believe in the character. And there are mothers like this. It doesn't mean if you are connected to your mother and your mother is harming you in some way, not intentionally, of course, and of course you can talk to her about it and try to see how you understand her deepest concerns, because this is why she's doing that. But if she's taking you back, or she's not believing in you, and you have to go through everything, all this building of you and her, and just continue your way. So this is an attachment you can break. Not physically, never. You know, accepting our parents is, is very, very important. But in your mind, what you think about what she says about you, if you believe what she says about you and you let it stop you. So under no circumstances there can be an attachment that harms you, and you have to hold on to it. If you have to, you will hold on to it, but you will free your mind, and you will know that this is an attachment that is dead, and you have to continue your journey. You can physically be inside a place and mentally be in a different kind of place where you want to be, where you want to go. Like they say in the beautiful song, free your mind and the rest will follow. These attachments in the story, if you are the one who is pursuing them and deepening them, and you push people away because you are too attached to them, you can think for yourself, of course, that you wouldn't want people to be attached to you in an unhealthy way. You wouldn't want it for yourself. So what you don't want for yourself, try not to do to others. Try to be considerate. Try to see them as what they are. They're just people or friends or family who loves you very much and wants to be connected to you, but if you smother them with your attention and your old beliefs or insecurities, you must understand their side of the story. It's better not to be afraid or be concerned, because it will only reinforce the attachment. They will leave me. They will not leave you, but they will be uncomfortable, and the whole thing will not thrive and blossom as it should. If you want your relationship with people to blossom and bloom, you have to let go as much as you can of your attachments to them. Let them be. Let them have their space. Let them live your life. Try to make your life so interesting and full so they will be interested in you, and they will connect to you because they want to. So this is a beautiful way. You can be attached to things and people as long as it serves yours and theirs purpose, the higher purpose. It can be a lifetime of attachment if it's the right kind of attachment, and it can be it's like a road you walk together, and somewhere in the road you walk this miles with them, and then you have to split your ways. You have to see in your lives which attachments are alive and which are not. The ones who are not, see if there is any point in trying to revive them. See if you can. See if it's possible. See if there's something there, or is it just an addiction, an old habit. This is one kind of attachments, the psychological attachments of the character to the things around her. It can be to a place, it can be to people, it can be something that you are not willing to let go of, and even though you know you should. So as always, this is the kind of work you need to do if you want to know yourself. You have to know who you are and not just ask, who am I? Am I the sky and the rain and the wind and the stars, and am I everything? Am I God? No, who am I? Who am I? The character that is attached to this thing. Who was I when I formed this attachment? Who am I now? And am I willing to look sincerely in the face of this attachment and see what to do with it, see if it's healthy? Must strive to be healthy for your sake and for humanity's sake, and if you want to connect to this thing which is health itself. This kind of attachments belongs to the separate form. But there is another kind of attachment, and it's a more philosophical kind of attachment. It's the attachment of the character to itself. And this is beautiful, because without the identification of the character with itself, without this attachment, there would be no story, there will be no illusion of reality. This is what makes the reality real, the identification and the attachment. The attachment of the character to itself. The character knows nothing other than being her. You don't know anything other than being the character that you are. I am Mike. This is who I am. I am Mike. I know no other way of experiencing this thing, this what I am. But this is only an attachment. This is only a mirage, a false belief that you are this thing. You are attached to an idea. We are an idea in general. This thing, this all nothingness, God, everythingness, what you want to call it, is an idea, is a thought, is something. But you are attached to an idea within the idea. You are attached to the idea of being someone. This is the greatest attachments of them all. Think about every attachment you have in your life and just double it to trillions and trillions of security that you are attached to the character. This is why it's so hard to let go of the identification and realize your true nature, because this attachment is just bulletproof. It's complete. Nothing can come between you and your attachment to the character. You means this thing, this all-nothingness. So this all-nothingness, this thing is attached to itself as a character, and this is what you experience as yourself. And there's really not much we can do about this thing, because you cannot try to shake it off, like say, I know I'm attached to a character. I'm this true thing, and I'm attached to this false thing, and I just realize that I'm just attaching myself to a character. This is not who I am. It's so inherited in your character. It's so, like, it's one piece. You cannot shake it off. You cannot explain it off. You cannot just try and tell yourself this truth. You cannot. But you can know that this is only the mirage of the way the things appear to be right now. And there is a reason why your character is still attached to itself as a character, and it does not acknowledges and recognizes its true nature, the thing itself. There is a reason. And paradoxically, the reason is for her to free herself from the psychological attachments of the character in order for her to become this thing. And this is so beautiful. She doesn't need, we don't need, people don't need, characters don't need to free themselves from attachments the way you think. So it doesn't mean you need to fight your attachments and drive them away, and it's not healthy to have any attachments, and every attachment you have to let go and to be free, because this stateless state is free from attachment. It's the other way around. You have to go through your attachments. You have to let them rise. See how they are created, and let them go if they need to go, and if they need to be now in your life, let them express themselves. There is a reason. Define just knowledge of how, what is important to the character, to this thing, and what is not. This is the great mastery of knowing yourself. What is this attachment? What is it, does it come to tell me? What am I learning through it? How long must I be attached in this way to this thing, to this person? Is this attachment alive? Is it dead? And letting the attachment go, if, despite of the fear, if it's necessary. And knowing when your attachments harm other people, and knowing to confront yourself and not reproach yourself or get angry, why am I like that? Just trying to understand it as a friend, as someone, as how you would want people to be attached to you. Think about how you would want people to be attached to you, and then try your hardest to be attached to other people the way you would want people to be attached to you. No one makes you behave in a certain way. No one. It's always up to you. The freedom is always yours, how to act, and you always have the free will to express yourself. You always have the possibility and opportunity to confront yourself and do the right thing. Do the right thing in a certain situation, even if it's hard, even if it's scary, even if it means letting go. You know what to do. You know what they need. If people need space, if it scares you, let them have their space and see what happens. Everything is in your hands. And this beautiful cycle, when you will confront your attachments in the psychological level, and you will act in a healthy, beautiful way, you will see that attachments are flowing just like life. They come, they go, they are alive, they evolve, they change. It's a beautiful thing. They are natural and they are blessed. Attachments are a good thing. You just need to see what are they, look at them and act through them. And when you do that, you work with the attachment in a more harmonious way, in harmony, in synchronicity. You work with them, you don't fight them, you just see them. They become a natural part of your life and the process. And then the higher attachment, the attachment of the character to itself, and then the higher attachment, the attachment of the character to itself, can learn that this is the process, can learn to let go. Through the psychological structure, the higher attachment, the more closed attachment, can be freed to act in a natural way in your life. Just brings you closer to acting to the natural thing, the natural state. Knowing how to let go as a character is teaching this character, this identification, this persuasion to let go. Only through the character it can happen. You cannot force the natural state to do anything, because you are the natural state, and right now you have decided that you attach yourself to a character. Fine. See how the character releases herself from attachment through accepting the attachment as what they are and acting within them, not attaching yourself to the attachment. And then the character will learn that she is attached to herself. Just by this flexibility, it's like a muscle. Just teach the thing itself that you are convinced that you are right now, the character, that you are flexible, that you flow, that you know what is happening right now. So don't attach yourself to attachments, let them be. The stateless state is being attached to nothing, because you are nothing and there is nothing to be attached to. But as long as you are the character, see look inside your psychological structure when these attachments are becoming habits or addictions. If these attachments are dead, when were they formed? What is their job now? Can you let them go? Do you need them to grow? Some attachments are so healthy. Teach the character, see the character, learn about the character. And then the greatest attachment of them all, the attachment of the character to itself, hopefully will be also released. And then there will be no attachments, only pure being.